And then we know it's got it.
Okay, and we have it, and I see myself. Updating the website.
And then I figure once we're going, then we could probably like turn our videos off and I can just put up my, like a title slide so that people are like, oh yeah, this is the right place.
You want the live option at the top of the page, or?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. So like as soon as you go to the page, you know that you're there, and none on all the rest of it can just be down underneath.
Okay.
Yeah. Somehow I need to work on my descriptions apparently, because people keep being accused. Like you kept saying, you know, watch the live stream at, and I give the link and people are like, where do I register to see it? I'm like, live stream. Oh,
I get that. All right. So Katie, if you just go to the website, grad.
Oh, I see it.
You can see that the poster of 3-minute thesis is behind the watch live. Would that be fine, or would you want me to fix it?
Let's just delete it.
All right.
For right now, I don't know. That's weird.
Yes, that does look weird. It didn't happen the last time when we were testing it, so it's weird.
Yeah, I don't remember that. I don't know. The CMS just always seems to be like
I'll just get rid of it.
Doing its own thing. Yeah. And then let me reload that page. Oh, is that a picture from our website? What's that a picture of? Is that from the YouTube page or something? I see that nice background of Stony Brook campus.
Yeah, that's by default. You can try reloading the page now and just checking it. So the live option
doing its own thing. Yeah. And then, oh gosh, there we are. Oh, okay, good. And then the poster, I see the poster's gone now. What's that a picture of? Is that from the YouTube page or something? I see that nice background of Stony Brook campus.
All right, then I'll hand over the host ownership to you, back to you. And I think we're good to go from here.
Perfect. Okay, right. So I am the host, and then I'm going to make you a co-host just in case. I'm going to make everybody who needs to do anything important a co-host.
Sure.
And then let's see what happens if I share my screen right now.
Just turn off my video.
And Tinish, as you're watching today, oh, I forgot how annoying that is. My one worry, of course, is that I don't know what I'm doing. I need to stop doing and thinking and talking all at the same time. My one worry is that someone will leave their camera on or their microphone on, and it'll pull the focus from someone during the event, for the live stream. You know how it only picks up on who the current speaker is?
Oh, I get that. I think you would have to be very cautious and reiterate it every now and then that for those who are not speaking, please turn off your cameras.
So if you have an extra, bit of attention to just keep an eye on the
Sure.
participant list.
I can personally message them on Zoom to turn off the cameras. If it's
Oh,
still
that
on.
would be great. And then and I'm okay with us just pushing the button to be perfect. We're totally live streamed right now, but anyway. Yeah. So let's just thank you so much for keeping that.
No problem at all. I'll keep that in mind.
Okay, great. And let's see. And then
that's by default. You can try reloading the page now and just checking it. So the live option
doing its own thing, yeah. And then
okay. Every time that's because I thought I was
there we are.
I thought I was muting it and instead I was pausing myself. So all right. So I don't necessarily need to be on there. Let's do that. Tanish, do you remember offhand how I turn off seeing people who have their cameras off? Do you know the setting I'm talking about?
Who don't have the cameras off, right?
Yeah, so I want to hide everyone who doesn't have their camera on, and I can't remember where that setting is. I thought it was somewhere really obvious and I'm not finding it.
For me, I think it was the speaker view, because it would just show the people who have the cameras on. I think it was.
That's true, but there's a way to show, so there's a way to do it so that not even a box shows up if their video is not on.
Yeah, so what happens is if you have someone with a video on, the speaker box would show just them. Right now, since you are presenting the screen and I am the one talking with no one with the camera on, that's how it would look like.
Right, no, but there, even in gallery view, there's a way, here we go. I have to go into gallery view and now I have hide non-video participants. There we go.
Oh, I see that now, yeah.
Okay.
Katie, just to confirm, apart from me keeping my eyes peeled for people who wouldn't require their videos to be on, is there anything else I need to be worried about, or I should be cautious of?
I don't think so. I think that's my one concern about the live stream in particular is that it's picking up the right people.
Sure.
And then other than that, yeah, I think I'm hoping it's going to be pretty uneventful.
Yes, looking forward to it.
All right, thanks again for your help, Tanishka. Really appreciate it.
No problem at all, Katie.
Okay, so let's mute ourselves for right now unless you need me.
Sure.
Giancarlo, do you want to go ahead and pop your slide up in this version just to make sure? And we can try advancing forward and back.
Can you see it?
I can.
Okay. And then,
Can you advance?
yes.
Ah, perfect.
Thank you.
Okay, good job. And FYI, we are streaming right now. We just wanted to make sure everything is up and running. Alyssa, welcome.
Hello.
Jinan, welcome. And Heidi, I saw you pop up.
Hi, everyone.
Hi.
Does everyone know Julia? I want to introduce Julia Brown. She's a PhD student in English. She's going to be our moderator today. She's also the secretary of the GSO.
I saw some of you yesterday. And then I'm seeing some of you for the first time. Hi. Congratulations for making it this far.
Thank
It's going to be super fun.
It's very exciting.
And we are streaming right now, so just FYI, but we wanted to make it easily findable because I've been starting to get emails like, well, where is it? Where do I sign in so that I can watch? So we're good.
So don't say anything embarrassing.
Exactly, because we're also being recorded right now. Derek, welcome.
Hello, thank you.
And Minnie, I see you have shown up. Do you want to
Hey,
pop on your background and I can introduce
yeah.
everybody to you that you haven't met yet?
sure. 3-minute thesis background. Here you go. Hello.
You're hearing the disembodied voice of your timer today. This is Minnie Asmi. She's a PhD student in genetics, and she's going to be turning on the timer and then using her phone to time like I was doing during all the coaching. She'll be doing that for all of you today. Does anyone else want to pop up their slide and just to make sure? I know we did this yesterday, but just to make sure with the settings today, we're all good to go.
Yeah, I can put up mine. Oh.
Okay, great. And it's advancing. I see it. Okay, anyone else?
I'll test mine. How do I make it sure it's like full screen? I guess I need to put it in another window so I don't have to do that. Like I don't have to make it full screen.
You can start a presentation and then share screen. Like in
Yeah.
slideshow.
Yeah, and then you can choose which monitor it goes on, for example.
Yeah, go to slideshow on top.
Yeah, but I'm gonna be coming from the Zoom. That's what I'm saying. Like I'll be
And
so
you-
I need to put it in another.
Then you go back
window.
to Zoom and share.
Oh, all right. Let me see. Hold on.
Okay, and if any of you want to navigate to
There we go.
the 3MT page, you
Yes.
can see what the live stream sees right
Okay,
now. And so you can see again, it's whoever the current speaker is up in the right-hand corner when the slides are on, which means we all need to make sure that all our cameras are off and our microphones are muted when it's not our turn to talk. And it's just something we need to keep an eye on because the live stream has a mind of its own.
Please try my slide real quick too.
Sure, go for it. And then I think we're all here. So I'd like to snap some pictures with just the speakers. You know, it's not as fun as like having a camera and all standing together, but we can get you all on screen.
Okay, all good there?
Yep.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And then Derek, you're also in my slides from the example you let me take yesterday.
Uh-oh, what is that?
I said you're also in my slides. Just a quick picture reminding people like how to get the side-by-side view so that they can see the timer for the judges.
Oh, okay.
Anyone else want to pop up their slide?
Yeah, could I do mine? Oh, I'm sorry. Whoever wants to go before.
Yeah, you can go first.
Okay.
Okay, and Dee Dee, I can't see you right now. Sorry. There you are. Let's see, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I see it.
Great. Awesome.
Okay, my go next.
Yes.
Okay. So this is my first line and next page. How about that?
Looks good.
Okay, stop sharing. Okay.
Okay, anyone else? Dee Dee, did you want to try yours?
Sure, yeah.
I think we've. Looks good. Okay, Heidi's who I can't see because you're, oh no, just one of yours is off. Okay, so I was counting wrong. Who are we missing? Catherine is not here yet, right? Okay, so we can't take pictures yet because Catherine's not here. All right, soon.
I just asked, when I popped over to that the 3MT website, I noticed like a big lag for my video at least. Can you hear me okay, like in real time?
Yes, there's a deliberate lag. It's like a 10 or 20-second lag from where we are.
To like
So
censor us.
So it's
Just in case.
It's a feature, not a bug.
Okay, thanks.
And it ends up being really frustrating when you're troubleshooting and testing because you don't know if your change has happened for a while. Okay, so we're looking good. And I'm just going to see if everyone has the spotlight option on them. Sometimes I have to pin some of you, and I've never been able to figure out why that is. Nope. Okay, so once Catherine gets here, then I think Minnie and I will turn off our cameras and we'll take some screenshots with just our finalists. Try to see if we can get them out onto social media before my brain breaks from thinking about too many things at the same time. Is everybody excited though?
I have to say I'm especially excited because I haven't heard most of these talks. I mean, really any of them in full. I've heard like the first sentence of a handful of your talks. So I'm just very excited to get to experience this for the first time, hearing all of the fun things that you've been doing for the last, I don't know, 5+ years. Congratulations to all of you.
I know, I'm excited to see everyone's who I haven't seen here because I haven't heard everyone's talk that's here. So that's exciting.
That's true, because the groups didn't really mix up very much between the two sessions. So yeah, they're all fantastic. Okay, Paul.
Yeah.
Welcome, by the way. You're all
Yeah.
disembodied voice of Paul, who works with me in my office here and is going to be your score tallier for today. Paul, I realized that we didn't talk about this. Can you be in charge of turning on the People's Choice form when all the talks are finished?
Sure. I think you sent an email, right?
Yeah, I mean, I can drop the I can drop the link in the chat for you if you want.
Right. Let me see if I can find it.
There you go. Anyway, so responses are turned off right now, and we're not going to turn them on until after the last talk.
Okay.
But can you make sure that after the last talk, you turn that on? And then Julia, I'm going to pop up the slide and you're going to tell everyone they have 10 minutes to vote, right? And I am going to introduce the slide earlier so people will know to watch for their chance to vote for People's Choice. And you'll just be reminding them and say, yes, now it's actually open. Okay, great. Catherine is here. Yay.
I'm so sorry. I think I missed an email or something. We were supposed to come on earlier. I'm so sorry about that.
No, so do you want to pop up your slides super fast? And then I want to take some pictures with just the finalists.
Yes.
Before we get started.
Let me pull it up. Can you see this?
Yes.
Excellent.
Do you want to advance it just to make sure? Awesome.
Okay, should I stop sharing or should I leave it like this?
No, you're all good. So let's stop sharing. And then those of us who are not finalists will turn off our videos. And now I'm going to take some screenshots. And I'm going to try to stop talking because it keeps saying Kathleen M is talking at the top, and that's really annoying. So I'm actually going to mute myself, but just assume I'm going to take a whole flurry of like 5 or 10 shots. So just keep smiling until it hurts. Okay. All right. Okay, I'm going to take one more. Sorry, I have that really annoying green shot where every time I tell it to take a screenshot, I have to like pull in the box that I want it to take a picture of. And so it's not just like me spamming the, F12 button. So I'm going to take one more. Ready? So everybody give me your, this is awesome. We're all going to win. Our talks are so good. Smile. All right, there we go. Thank you, everybody. And incidentally, these are the pictures that are going to show up in the article that'll be going on the Stony Brook Front website and things like that. So.
And you said we should keep our cameras off until we actually go, correct?
Yes, let's keep our cameras off and our microphones off for the duration. And I'll be back in just a moment. So welcome everyone. We're getting all settled in here. 3MT final round will be starting in just a few minutes at 4 o'clock. Welcome to our judges who are just joining us. Now, as we're getting set up, I would like to encourage our judges to be prepared to watch the talk in speaker mode. So as you're looking at your Zoom screen, if you mouse over the upper right-hand corner where it says view and make sure that you're in speaker mode instead of gallery mode, then you'll be able to have the optimal viewing experience when our speakers get a chance to go. And so when each of them go, essentially what you'll be able to see is their slide. You will see the speaker and you will see a timer that will time and count down the 3 minutes for their talk. And so long as you set that to side-by-side speaker mode and recall that there's, once the slide is up and the speaker and the timer are up, you can actually grab a spot that's in between the slide and the speakers and you can drag it and make the speakers bigger. And so then that way you can actually get the full experience of our speakers and their facial expressions, their emotions, the additional, AV tools that they might be using to help tell their story. Alfredo, welcome.
Hello, Katie. How are you?
Good. How are you?
Very good. Thank you.
Thank you again so much for coming today.
Oh no, it's a pleasure. Thank you for having me. You know that I'm a big fan of the 3MT.
Yes, yes, and of our postdoc spotlight. I know.
Yeah, no. Anytime I advertise it in the department, in the lab. I really like it. I think it's such an important program.
Well, thank you. And I think that your love will be borne out today because our speakers today are amazing and are going to give really good talks. So I can't wait for everybody to see the final versions.
Awesome. I can't wait.
Okay, so we'll give everybody a couple of minutes just so that everyone knows we are live streaming on the Grad School YouTube channel right now. So welcome and hello to our audience out in cyberspace. Thank you so much for tuning in to watch 3MT today. I guess I can take off my screen. It's just about 4 o'clock and I do want to keep us on time, but I am going to wait until we click over to 4 o'clock. So let's just give ourselves sort of one more minute. Okay, so it's 4 o'clock and I would like to get started. Welcome again, everyone, to the Stony Brook University 3-minute thesis competition. This is something that we've been doing for a number of years now. My colleague Alfredo James in the Career Center first brought the idea to Stony Brook and has been working with this team that we've built to do it ever since. So I'm delighted that you're here. I'm delighted that our 8 finalists are here. Before we get started, first, I would like to invite Alfredo Fontanini to give a few welcoming remarks. Alfredo is a professor in neurobiology and behavior. Of course, I know the department's name, but he's also the vice provost for research and infrastructure in the provost office. Alfredo, let me spotlight you. There we go.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Katie, for inviting me. And yeah, it is wonderful for me to be part and to have the fortune of representing the provost office today. As I was saying earlier, as a faculty first, as a chair after, and now as a vice provost, I've always been a great fan of and supporter of this program, both in its form for students as well as the postdoc component. In fact, I think several years ago, like of course, any time before COVID feels like 10 years ago. So let's say 10 years ago, I remember spending the whole day in person in the Wong Center as a judge to an event like this. And it is really one of my fondest memories of that time. What I love of these events is that the energy, the vibe, and actually I saw last year's via Zoom, and it's conserved in Zoom. It's obviously more in person. I love the talent that really shows. And as a mid-career scientist, as myself, you often end up being bogged down by the grind of problems and grant writing. And events like this are the ones that truly inspire us. It is really great to listen to students from all the fields presenting their research in a clear and very sophisticated manner, and yet passionate, personal, and approachable. And that's really, I always find it that for me personally, that's incredibly rejuvenating. It almost like reconnects me with all that is great about research and the scholarly communities, brings back like the student enthusiasm that I have in myself. So besides being great for me, and which I'm sure is not the goal of this program, this is the 3 minutes thesis event is really great for us as scientists. As scientists, researchers, scholars, we spend all our life around knowledge. We mine for new knowledge all the time, devoting a tremendous amount of time and effort, both physical, mental, and emotional. And we all do that in the pursuit of new discoveries. But as important as new discoveries are, I think it is really as important to focus on communicating those discoveries. It's important because it helps build communities and build communication about science that further the discoveries in our scientific community. But it's also important because it allows us to play a fundamental social role. And the ability to distill complex topics and even difficult personal history in clear and impactful messages is a fundamental skill that every scientist nowadays, or every scholar nowadays, must possess. And yet in our program, this is not a skill that is necessarily trained too often. And so I think that programs like the 3MT help us supplementing that component. And so I'm very, very grateful to Katie, to the grad school, to the Career Center and GSO for offering our students this opportunity to refine their communication skills in such a welcoming and safe environment. And of course, above all, I'm really grateful to the participants for their talent and for the energy and for putting yourself out there, for the incredible research that you're doing. So I'll be trying to follow along as much and as long as I can for my personal pleasure. But in the meantime, I want to wish good luck to everyone.
Oh, thank you so much, Alfredo. So now I would like to invite, I was about to say invite to the microphone, which is sort of a strange syllogism left over from before us being virtual. I'd like to invite Eric Wertheimer, who's the Dean of the Graduate School and our Vice Provost for Graduate and Professional Education.
Sorry about that. I was muted. Thank you, Katie. First of all, I think Alfredo and I are entitled to have those cool 3-minute thesis backgrounds as part of the gig here. First, I just want to thank everyone for being here in this Zoom event and for all the live streamers out there, who knows how many there are. It's one of the really fun and I think rewarding parts of the grad school's event calendar every year. And it really reflects our commitment to research that is focused on the inherent need of knowledge to be mobile and for our students to be its best expositors. I also want to thank, obviously, Katie M. and Alfreda James and the GSO, I see Julia up there, and for doing so much of the work on this project. And of course, thanks to the Alumni Association for funding those awards. Briefly, I want to echo a lot of what Alfredo has already said. I'm so impressed and really grateful about the work that is represented here. Stony Brook is a public institution, and as such, I really believe that the work we produce should be understood to be serving the public good. And so the way you talk about your work, your discoveries, your theories, your methods should all be directed, I believe, toward audiences that need your insight now more than ever. The work you do as grad students, as scholars, is as much for others as it is for you. And I think this event really sort of emblematizes that idea. You've done that, I think, astoundingly well this year in your work here. Your ideas are vivid and careful and profound. And I think they show us the world even as it's confined to a metaphorical elevator. So with that, I will turn it back to our hosts and wish you guys all the best and the best of luck. And I'm also one of the judges this year, an emergency fill-in. So I'm excited to really listen carefully.
Oh, thank you so much, Eric. So without further ado, I want to talk a little bit about the competition and what to expect. So let me share my screen. So the 3-minute thesis competition is a competition at some level, and we've already mentioned that there are very generous prizes for our top talks today for second, third, and a People's Choice Award, generously sponsored by the Alumni Association that has sponsored this competition for many years now. So it's a competition at the end of the day, but I want to say that our focus here at Stony Brook is a little bit unique in the sense that for us, it's really about professional development. It's really about the core transferable skills that are basically core competencies in communication that all of our scholars have been developing and will need in the world, no matter what career path they may settle upon after they leave Stony Brook. And it's this basic idea of how do you talk about your research, your scholarship, what you've been spending all these years working on. How do you talk about that to someone who's not a specialist in your field? And so we've been really digging in and focusing in on the skills and we've been really digging into, how to do that with these particular dissertations for our speakers. And I want to remember that we had 25 graduate students participating at the beginning. Once upon a time, 3MT used to look like this, right? We were up on a stage in person. It was live and exciting. The pandemic changed that for us, but what we found is that it's still live and exciting, but now it's virtual, and it's actually been able to increase the accessibility both for our participants and also for our viewers. So for example, instead of the 50 some odd people sitting in seats who were able to vote on People's Choice, now we're getting well over 100 votes for People's Choice. And so I hope that all of you who are watching out in the audience today will watch all 8 votes when we get a chance to turn on the People's Choice ballot, and you will vote for your favorite talk. And now that we're in a virtual space, they're also building additional key skills, right? Increasingly, our scholars are going to be called upon to, give remote talks, give remote webinars, give what we used to call Skype interviews. Now, instead, they're Zoom interviews for the various jobs that they might be pursuing. And so the skills that they've been building within the Zoom virtual space are also important competencies for going out into the world and continuing their work in scholarship. So what have we been doing? We've spent weeks now actually doing intensive coaching, which has involved some of the pedagogy grounded in the work that the Alda Center for Communicating Science has done, but broadened, of course, for the broad disciplinary fields that our speakers come from. So we've been doing some education, and then we've been doing intensive coaching on their talks themselves. And we always use a peer-based model. So they've been supporting each other, giving each other great feedback all along. This is usually the point at which I tend to choke up because they've all done such an amazing job, both in preparing their talks and talking about their work, but really in supporting each other. And so at the end of the day, although it is a competition, it's really more been an experience, I think, for our participants. And so here we are in the virtual space, and I'm just going to give another quick shout out to our judges who are here in the Zoom call with us. I want to ensure that you get sort of the fullest viewing experience. So when our speakers go up, this is what our judges will be seeing. And thanks to Derek Pope, one of our finalists, who let me take a quick snapshot of his. So you're going to have the speaker. Underneath them, you're going to have a timer that's timing down, and then you will have their slide. And I encourage you to, do the side-by-side mode, do speaker mode, grab the spot, right? So there's up in the corner there, you can do side-by-side speaker, In the middle here, there's this little double line that you can grab and you can drag it and make sure that you can see the speaker fully as well as the slide. For those of you who are viewing from home, you're not going to have that opportunity, but you are going to be able to see the speaker up in the corner. So judging, how does judging really work with a 3-minute talk? So the rules are very simple. You can have one static slide that has to be up the whole time. It can only be 3 minutes. And if a speaker exceeds that time, and I will say our definition of exceeds that time means if they get to time, they can finish the sentence they're on. But if they keep going, then they'll be beyond time and then they are disqualified. And then the talk itself must be spoken word only. So no poems, no raps, no singing. The judges are going to be evaluating the talks based on 2 primary criteria that are each worth 10 points. The first is comprehension and content. So that's basically the stuff that's in the talk. Did the speaker tell us why what they did is important? Did they tell us what they did? And did they tell us what they learned? That's basically number 1. The second one is their overall engagement. Did they capture attention? Did they use appropriate language for the broad audience that's watching the talks today? And did the slide help enhance that engagement in their talk? I want to give a special shout out, of course, to our judges. Each round has its own set of 6 judges that we draw from a wide range of experiences. So we balance them in terms of discipline. We balance them in terms of career stage. So we have graduate students, postdocs, faculty, staff, and alumni on each of the panels. So thank you so much to all of our judges from round 1 and those of you who are judging for round 2. We couldn't do it without you. Also a quick thank you, of course, to our team that's organizing today. Those in the grad school who have been helping us on this side, the GSO team, and of course, Alfredo and the Career Center. And, deep gratitude to the Alumni Association that's been sponsoring the awards for us. And a shout out to the University of Queensland that actually started the 3MT model. But last and certainly not least, I really want to cast a spotlight on our Intrepid graduate student speakers who have elected to participate in 3MT this year. We had 25 speakers go through round 1 and develop a short 3-minute video of their talks that went through initial round. And I just want to tell you who they all are. So our 25 speakers, starting in the upper left-hand corner, it's Alok Mishra from Computer Science, Anthony Ripa from Computer Science, Deborah Rupert from Neuroscience, Marcy Ekanayake Weber from IDPAS, the Interdepartmental Doctoral Program in Anthropological Sciences, Liu Yang from Electrical Engineering, Catherine Hill from Neuroscience, Jessica Hausch from English, Heidi Schneider from Music, Giancarlo Pasquini from Social and Health Psychology, Farzana Ali from Biomedical Engineering, Devin Luco from Genetics, Derek Pope from STEM Education, Damian Scott from Philosophy, Caitlin Cardetti from Pharmacology, Alyssa Stansfield from Atmospheric Science, Yu Chung Lin from Material Science and Chemical Engineering, Jinan Chen from Applied Math and Statistics, Xiaoyang Liu from Material Science, Xinying Lin from Clinical Psychology, Shirin Faiz from Computer Science, Moises Hassan Bendahan from Hispanic Languages and Literature, Samruti Julikar from Biochemistry and Structural Biology, Alan Chen from Neuroscience, Erwei Huang from Chemistry, and Lejia Gwyn from Biomedical Engineering. So I just want to give a virtual round of applause for our speakers who have gone through this whole process and have done an amazing job. You're going to be able to see all of their talks on the 3MT website, hopefully by the end of this week or next week. They're all going to be on the grad school YouTube channel. But today we are here to celebrate and evaluate our 8 finalists. So Catherine, Derek, Heidi, Giancarlo, Deborah, Farzana, Jinan, and Alyssa are going to give their talks for you live today. And our judges will be evaluating them to figure out who our top speakers are. And one final word is that our winner today, so our top speaker, will have the opportunity for the first time actually to represent Stony Brook at the Northeastern Regional Competition of 3MT that's going to happen later this month. So keep an eye out on that. Now, I did mention earlier that our audience is encouraged to vote for the People's Choice Award. We will be putting this slide up again after the 8 talks when we open the ballot. But if you want to just note down the quick bit.ly link, it's 3MT 2022-vote. And then please, express your vote for the best talk in your opinion that you see today. So I'm going to stop sharing. And now I'm going to turn it over to Julia Brown, who is a PhD candidate in English and the secretary of the GSO, to start introducing our speakers. And I'm going to ask everyone who is not currently a speaker to please turn off your video and turn off your microphone to make sure that the live stream doesn't accidentally pick anyone else up.
All right. Hello, everybody. Thank you, Katie, so much. My name is Julia Brown. I am a PhD student in the English department. This is my 2nd year, and I'm also the graduate student organization secretary. I'm so happy to be here, getting to hear all of these wonderful talks. Thank you to Alfredo Fontanini, Eric Wertheimer for the wonderful talks that you already gave. And thank you especially, Katie and Alfreda, for putting all of this together and spotlighting the hard work that the graduate students at Stony Brook are doing. Congratulations to all of our participants this year, and a special congratulations to the finalists. Just a reminder to our audience that we do have the People's Choice at the end. Pay attention. You can only vote for one person, your very favorite talk. So keep that in mind as you're listening. All right, so our very first talk of the day is Catherine Hill. I'm going to invite her to put her screen up. Katie can spotlight her. All right, so without further ado, Catherine Hill from Neuroscience will be giving her presentation titled Binging and the Reward Center, Chicken or the Egg.
One of the many reasons that people drink alcohol is because alcohol is viewed socially as enjoyable. And what's interesting is the brain actually records alcohol as rewarding. And that's because alcohol activates the region of the brain called the reward region, or the nucleus accumbens. And actually, this area of the brain is important for enjoying most things in general, like eating a piece of chocolate cake or winning at a game. But what's interesting is that this area of the brain is actually altered in individuals who have alcohol use disorder, a disorder that affects 1 in 8 Americans in adults in America. So my question is this alteration a chicken or an egg? Do people who have this alteration develop alcohol use disorder, or does alcohol use disorder cause this alteration? And the answer to this question may help us determine a screening mechanism to first find this alteration and then be able to predict which people have a higher likelihood of developing alcohol use disorder so that those people can get targeted support early on. So to answer this question of a chicken or an egg, I studied a group of 67 healthy young adults aged 18 to 25 who did not have alcohol use disorder. And I looked at their brain images and determined that people who heavily binge drink alcohol had this alteration compared to those who did not heavily binge drink alcohol. Now let's dive a bit deeper. What exactly biologically is this alteration? So the people who heavily binge drank alcohol had fewer opioid receptors in the reward region. Now, opioids come in many forms, including prescription medication. And the reason they can become addicting is because they activate the reward region. So what we're seeing in the people who heavily binge drink alcohol is that there are fewer receptors on fewer opioid receptors in the reward region, meaning when the brain experiences something rewarding, they might have a lower ability to feel that feeling of reward. So let's get back to the chicken or the egg. So we see that these people who don't have alcohol use disorder, but do have heavy binge drinking behaviors, have this alteration. But we don't yet know if the alteration comes before binge drinking behavior or if heavy binge drinking causes this alteration. So that's the topic of future investigation. But once we do know the answer to this question, looking for this alteration with a brain scan may signal to us which people are at highest risk of developing alcohol use disorder. And then we can target those people and offer them help and support. And hopefully that will decrease their likelihood of going on to develop alcohol use disorder. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you, Catherine. We're going to give our judges just a couple of minutes to score and get ready for our next speaker. Our next speaker is Farzana Ali. All right. So Farzana Ali from Biomedical Engineering will be talking to us today on Let Your Watch Pick Your Medicine.
Do you remember how you felt when you got out of bed this morning? Or when the sunlight touched your face? 1 in 15 people in our country does not get to enjoy these ordinary things that we take for granted because of depression. But more unfortunate is the fact that many people have to live like that for months, even after they seek out treatment. 2/3 of patients with depression on their first-line treatment do not get better. And there's no clinical tool that can help us predict if the current treatment will work, so we can pick the right medicine at the right time. That's the tool I'm building as a physician, scientist, and biomedical engineer. How am I doing that? Using measures of physical activity. Previous studies have shown that as patients start getting better on antidepressant, their physical activity changes. So instead of asking them every day how they're feeling while they're taking their medication, we can use objective measures of physical activity to monitor their improvement. After a week, we'll know if the current treatment is working. And if it's not, we'll switch to another treatment. In this way, we can get our patients the right treatment as soon as possible without waiting for 8 full weeks like we do now. This will not only reduce their suffering, but also save them from unnecessary healthcare costs. But how do we get these measures of physical activity? Simple. Using activity monitors like your Apple Watch or Fitbit. The measures I'm using came from wearable monitors that tracked movement of patients with depression while they were on antidepressant. Using these measures of activity, I have already found promising results, showing that those who are more active during the first week of treatment are more likely to get better after 8 weeks of treatment. If successful, my pioneering tool can help us monitor someone's health remotely. That'll be particularly beneficial for those living in underserved communities who have limited access to mental health care despite showing the greatest need. My newly developed tool will help them get the care they need right when they need it, so they can enjoy the sunshine again. Thank you.
Thank you, Farzana. We'll give the judges another couple of seconds before getting the next speaker lined up. All right, and our next speaker is Giancarlo Pasquini. All right. Giancarlo Pasquini from Social and Health Psychology will be talking to us today on what can personality say about dementia.
When we think about Alzheimer's disease and dementia, we often think about symptoms of memory loss and confusion. But at the early stages of the disease, family members will often tell doctors that the person with the disease is behaving differently or that their personality is changing. By this point, the disease symptoms are noticeable. However, what if we could notice these changes in personality earlier? Well, my work attempts to detect subtle changes in personality before Alzheimer's and dementia symptoms become severe and noticeable. The main focus of my research is about the patterns of how people think, feel, and behave in daily life, which is what psychologists refer to as a person's personality. And I selected the pictures shown here because they represent activities that people do on a daily basis, such as going to work, spending time with friends, and spending time with family members while doing a hobby. In each of these settings, people can feel a variety of different ways. While spending time with friends, a person might feel happy, or a good day at work might spark joy. On the other hand, canceled plans with friends might cause sadness, and a tough day at work might cause frustration. The point is that the way people think and feel changes from day to day, depending on the behaviors that they are doing or not doing. However, in traditional questions that psychologists use to find out a person's personality, these changes from day to day are not asked about. And instead, the questions ask about how a person typically behaves or what a person typically does. With these traditional questions, the day-to-day differences that we all experience are missed, but I'm trying to capture these experiences. In my research, I asked people to answer questions on smartphones about what they were currently thinking about, what they were feeling, and what they were doing every day for 2 weeks. Then I compared these ratings to traditional personality questions. And this research is novel because asking people what they are thinking, feeling, and doing every day, I can detect small changes in a person's personality if personality is actually changing. And this is because the beginning of personality change is believed to be subtle in ways that are difficult to notice, even for close friends or family members, meaning that traditional personality questions might not capture these subtle changes. However, these subtle changes might signal early stages of dementia, which means they are important to study and understand. The approach that I use to capture personality in everyday life is new, and doing this research with older adults will provide a way to detect when personality is changing and to study how these changes might happen before symptoms of Alzheimer's disease and dementia become noticeable. My research offers a way to detect and understand when personality is changing, which will lead to a greater understanding of the connections between personality and dementia, which could one day help physicians make dementia diagnoses earlier in the progression of the disease and lead to better outcomes.
Thank you, Giancarlo. Give the judges some time again. And judges, if you could just give me a thumbs up if the timing is working out, if it's good for you. Okay, good. I see quite a few thumbs, which is a good sign. All right, so our next speaker is Deborah Rupert. All right, Deborah Rupert from the program in neuroscience is talking to us today on Call of the Child, Rebalancing the Auditory Cortex.
Have you ever been a kid lost in a grocery store? Most of us have at one time in our lives. The aisles of grocery stores are tall, too tall to see over and visually locate your mom and dad. So what did you do? You probably started wandering those aisles, calling out for them until one of them came to collect you. Part of what I study is the ability of the maternal brain to specifically hone in on the calls of infants. It's mom radar, or mom magic, if you will. To do that, we use mice. Infant mice behave similarly when they are lost, although their local environment doesn't include Stop and Shop. When those mice become separated from the dam, they emit high-pitched distress calls that cues the mom to find and retrieve them back to the safety of the nest, which you can see in this action shot. We wanted to know what was changing in the brain that allowed female mice to learn that behavior. So we compared two groups, one that gained experience with pups and one that did not have experience with pups. And we found two things. First, the mice that gained experience with infant pups learned to respond to their calls over time. They became faster, more efficient at gathering pups back to the safety of the nest. Second, there were very significant changes in the auditory cortex of the two groups. Now, the auditory cortex in mammals, including humans and rodents, is important for localizing sounds and also learning to attribute meaning to sounds. So it's made up of two major cell types, inhibitory cells, which I'm representing in red, and excitatory cells, which I'm representing in green. Inhibitory cells are like the brakes of the cortex. They slow it down, they quiet it. And excitatory cells are like the gas. They excite or activate the cortex. Normally, these two cell types, they balance each other, as you can see in that top schematic. But when we looked at the brains of animals that had experience with pups, we found that that balance shifted in response to the infant calls. More specifically, we found that inhibitory cells were silenced in response to infant calls, effectively shifting things towards an excited cortical state. What does that mean? Well, it's kind of like when you lift your foot up off the brake in your car. Even if you don't press the gas, lifting your foot up off the brake will cause the car to move forward. So in sum, what we found is experience with infants gives the green light to the auditory cortex to activate in response to infant calls. And that's part of that mom radar. So the next time you call your mom, whether it's from across the room or on the phone, and she answers right away, I hope you remember some of this mom magic and how much we all depend upon it.
Thank you, Deborah. I'm going to once again ask the judges to just give me a thumbs up once you're done scoring. All right, wonderful. Thank you so much. Our next talk is Jinan Chen. All right. Jinan Chen from Applied Math and Statistics will be speaking to us today on how do neurodegenerative diseases affect our brain.
Human brain is very active. It consumes 10 times more energy than the rest of the body. Along with its highly intensive activities, the brain produces tons of wastes. This predicts a very efficient system to remove these wastes and clean the brain. The hypothesis of how this cleaning system works very much resembles washing a sponge. Just like the left-hand side of this picture, imagine the brain as a dirty sponge. Our body will produce a liquid to constantly enter the sponge and wash the dirt out. But according to my findings, this cleaning system doesn't work if the brain is sick. I find that in brains with neurodegenerative diseases, such as Alzheimer's and Parkinson's, the majority of this flushing liquid does not actually enter the brain, but instead, the liquid gets redirected away from the brain. Imagine the sponge again, but this time, the holes within the sponge somehow get plugged. If you open the tap, trying to wash the dirt out of it, the water cannot get in, and so the dirt stays. Similarly, waste products in diseased brains will also stay, and they will quickly build up and may permanently damage the brain. These findings are based on experiments on rats. We injected chemical tracers into the necks of both healthy rats and those with neurodegenerative disease. We later scanned their brains every 5 minutes to collect image data. Then I applied our mathematical method using equations in fluid dynamics to reconstruct the behaviors of the fluid in brain. Compared to traditional medical imaging tools like MRI, our mathematical method provides a brand new way to observe what happens inside of the brain. In particular, it allows us to visualize the trajectories of the fluid flows, and most importantly, to measure the fluid speed in brain, which conventional methods are incapable of doing. Neurodegenerative diseases like Alzheimer's and Parkinson's affect millions of people on this planet, but the mechanisms of these diseases are still poorly understood. Currently, there's no way to reverse the disease progression and no cure has been found. My findings improved our understanding of these diseases and further suggest that to restore the normal fluid pathways into the brain could be an important approach for treatment in the future. This work was published in Nature Aging this year. Thank you for listening.
Thank you, Jinan. Again, judges, when you're done, just give me the thumbs up. All right. Our next talk is Derek Pope. All right. Derek Pope from STEM Education will be talking to us today on Imagine Actually Understanding Math, Student Teachers' Beliefs about how math should be taught.
Think back to when you were a teenager learning math. Do you remember the teacher up at front lecturing to students who sat quietly in rows taking notes? When you learned how to divide fractions, did you memorize a mnemonic like keep, change, flip, and then practice using it a bunch of times so you could answer similar questions on a test? Let's call this teacher-centered procedural instruction. This may work for some students, but many students come to hate math and see it as useless. Were you one of those students? This type of instruction could be contributing to the US's mediocre performance on international math rankings, as well as our shortage of qualified candidates for STEM positions. Now, instead, imagine a class where students and teacher collaborate to make sense of new math concepts. Students use technology and hands-on tools to explore and make connections. They don't need a silly trick to divide fractions because they have mental pictures that attribute meaning to the procedure. Let's call this student-centered conceptual instruction. Research shows that this type of instruction is better for students' long-term retention, and they can still solve the procedural problems. Since this second type of instruction is more effective, how do we get more teachers to actually teach this way? As a high school math teacher and a teacher educator myself, I'd like to see my student teachers using conceptual approaches. So this is what I'm studying. How do student teachers' knowledge of how to teach math and their beliefs about how math should be taught change as they move through their teacher preparation program? To answer these questions, I administered surveys, conducted interviews, and collected course artifacts for 9 secondary math student teachers at 3 points of their teacher preparation program. What I found so far is that well-designed courses on how to teach math can have a significant impact on student teachers' beliefs, pushing them toward more conceptual approaches. These courses equip student teachers with practical strategies, such as how to use technology to develop understanding, and engage them in reflection on the benefits of these strategies over more procedural ones. However, preliminary results for those who completed the field experience part of the program are a bit more sobering. Student teachers reported being placed with mentors who taught more procedurally, and some of this rubbed off on the student teachers, erasing some of the positive gains made after their coursework. So more work needs to be done to create cohesive programs that equip student teachers to teach conceptually and place them with mentors who use those same approaches. If we want our kids to enjoy math, see it as useful, maybe even pursue a STEM career, then we need to make sure their teachers have the knowledge and beliefs to teach math so that students actually understand it. It is possible to get student teachers to move in this direction.
Thank you, Derek. Judges, this time is all yours. Again, just give me that thumbs up when you are done. Excellent. I think I counted 6 thumbs. So our next speaker is Heidi Schneider. All right, thank you, Heidi. Heidi Schneider from music is going to talk to us today on, is your favorite song designed with you in mind?
So a question for all of you. Who is your current favorite musical artist? And if you can think of them, I know it's a tough question, a favorite song by that artist. If anything comes to mind, can you also think about perhaps the idea that that artist had you, the audience, the listener, in mind when designing that song? My research supports this. In my studies, am studying Ella Fitzgerald, an extremely popular and prominent jazz vocalist in the early 1900s, all the way up until her death in 1996. And essentially, my thesis surrounds the idea that Ella Fitzgerald, being a woman and being a Black artist during a racially turbulent time in our country, in America, the idea that she, knowing her socioeconomic status, was formulating ideas, musical ideas, through her jazz solos that were designed to appeal to white audiences. So how did she do this? She did a lot of things that were incredible and different things in live performances and recording, but the most compelling aspect that I have found is her use of quotation. So essentially, quotation is the idea that you will take bits and pieces of other songs or even concertos, literally anything at all, and throw them into your solo that you're doing on the spot. You're improving, you're making it up. So she would quote very specific things. She would quote Frank Sinatra's That's Amore. She would quote the Christmas song, Chestnuts Roasting on an Open Fire. She would quote the Ballad of Davy Crockett, which was actually a Disney show, a TV show in the 50s. It was super popular. It was a Disney show. And the fact that she's quoting these things specifically for specific audiences and quoting other famous jazz artists like Ben Webster in other aspects of her soloing brings me to my thesis here. So essentially, to wrap up, the title of my body of work is Survival of a Genius, because Ella Fitzgerald is really using some extremely genius musical tactics to win the hearts of these unfortunately racist white American audiences. And the study of art and music and my analysis of Ella Fitzgerald's solos can really serve as a direct reflection of American society as a whole. Thank you.
Thank you, Heidi. Judges, again, just thumbs up when you are done. All right. And last but not least, we have Alyssa Stansfield. All right, Alyssa Stansfield with Atmospheric Science is talking today on why are hurricanes getting rainier?
No one wants to think about themselves or a loved one in this situation, frantically grabbing valuables, pets, or even children as floodwaters rise around you. Trying to find higher ground or a boat to take you to safety. You can see the fear in this girl's eyes and her body language as she tries to escape flooding from Hurricane Dorian, which devastated the Bahamas back in 2019. Unfortunately, this situation often turns deadly. In the United States, about 90% of fatalities from hurricane landfalls are water-related, mostly drowning. And in the future, due to human-caused climate change, this situation may become more frequent because hurricane rainfall is increasing. So we know from many previous studies that climate change should increase hurricane rainfall. But what's more uncertain and what my dissertation research has focused on is understanding why is hurricane rainfall increasing and how much more rainfall can we expect per degree Celsius of climate warming. So to do this, I use climate models, which are mathematical representations of the Earth on a computer. So I simulate climate change in these models and study how the hurricanes and their rainfall respond. What I found was that in the future, most increases in hurricane rainfall should come from increases in atmospheric moisture as the atmosphere warms. So you can think of the atmosphere as like a bucket. Just like a bucket, the atmosphere can actually hold water in it. And so when a hurricane comes by, it kind of tips the bucket over, creating rain. And so with climate change, as the atmosphere warms, it can actually hold more water in it. And so the bucket is more full. And when a hurricane comes by, tips the bucket over, this creates a greater amount of rainfall. So let's go back to Hurricane Dorian and this picture on the screen. Hurricane Dorian created a maximum rainfall total of 36 inches in the Bahamas. So that's 3 feet of rain. My results suggest that in the future, under just 1 degree Celsius more of climate warming, which is totally possible by the end of this century, this rainfall total from Hurricane Dorian could be increased by between 2.5 and 5 inches. And while maybe that doesn't sound like a lot by itself, when it's added on top of this already devastating flooding, it can make a big difference. So for example, look at this picture. A couple more inches of rain could mean the dog's head is underwater, or the girl has a lot harder time getting out of the flooding. In conclusion, hurricane landfalls in the future are likely going to be more dangerous because of this increase in hurricane rainfall. And I think this speaks to the urgency that we need climate adaptation efforts in coastal regions that see hurricane landfalls, such as here on Long Island.
Wonderful. Thank you, Alyssa. Okay, we'll give our judges a little bit more time. Okay, it looks like our judges have had a chance to score that last talk. As we're moving forward, now that we've heard all 8 of our finalists give their wonderful speeches, their 3-minute thesis talks, I would like to remind our audience that the voting for the People's Choice Award will be opening up and will last for 10 minutes. The ballot can be found at our bit.ly link, which is 3MT2022-vote, or by scanning the QR code that you can see up on the screen here. So again, bit.ly/3MT2022-vote. So vote for your favorite because they also will be acknowledged. Speaking of acknowledgements, I would like to now introduce Dr. Alfreda James, the Assistant Director of Graduate Services with the Career Center, who will be leading our participants through acknowledgements of their own.
Thank you very much, Julia. You did a fantastic job of emceeing this event. It was a pleasure working with you again. That background noise that you hear is the university's emergency testing system. Everything is good. We're now going to go and move into the acknowledgement phase of the 3MT. Each speaker, and we will maintain the speaker order, each speaker will have the opportunity to acknowledge the people who helped them for this event, as well as speak about what they learned. And I'll go first to give you an example. I would like to thank all of you for being willing to take this risk and participate in 3MT. This is a fun event. It is a community setting. And this is one of the few events where you get to listen and hear and think broadly about the work of other people. You can find out what other people are doing, and that for me is exciting. And every year I learn more reasons to be optimistic about the state of graduate education from the 3-minute thesis competition. So this is a fantastic event, and the first person to do acknowledgements will be Catherine Hill. Catherine, take it away.
Thank you for this opportunity, number one, to compete, to good, spotlight's on, to compete and to talk about the work that I've been spending time on. And I want to thank my PIs, which is Ramin Parsi, Christine De Lorenzo, and Rick Rosenthal, who helped me with this project. And I'd also like to thank Shirin Bukhani and Eric Chen, who helped me with this work, and my friends and family and everybody else in the lab. And also Farzana, she's a lab mate. And Dee, she is also in the MSTP with me. So thank you so much. And thank you for Katie. Katie, very wonderful. Thank you.
All right. Coming up next, Farzana Ali. Farzana, take it away.
Yes, I should start by thanking Catherine and Didi for being peers in the Qubit Lab. And I'd like to thank Dr. Kathleen M. for spending so many hours with us for training. My advisor, Dr. Christine DeLorenzo, Dr. Amin Percy, Dr. Alfreda James for her encouragement, and my friends and family for their unwavering support. But I'm most grateful to all my peers in this competition for helping me improve. I learned from 3MT how we can be better communicators by listening to each other, and how our work finds new meaning when we are able to communicate it with people outside of our own field. So I'm really grateful for this opportunity.
Thank you very much, Farzana. Next up, Giancarlo Peschini from Social and Health Psychology. Giancarlo?
Thank you. Yeah, so first I really have to thank my advisor, Stacy Scott. She's been extremely supportive in research and with this competition. So big thanks to her. And also a huge thank you to the Social and Health Psychology area, and then the entire psychology department as a whole, again, for support and just really great colleagues. And then what I learned, similar to what people have been saying so far, the process of taking all the details and all these things that we get really hung up on, but then distill it down into a single message that was hopefully understandable and interesting has been a really enjoyable process. And I've watched this competition since I started graduate school, so I was really excited to be part of it. So thank you for having me and us.
You're so welcome. And you know, we do this event every year, and we hope that there's someone in the audience who will say, I can do this, who will get excited like you and be inspired to join the event next year. Thank you very much for that. Next, acknowledgements from Deborah Rupert, neuroscience.
Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for the opportunity. I really had a blast preparing. I want to thank everyone that's part of the 3-minute thesis organization. I'm sure there's like a lot that goes on behind the scenes that even the competitors are not aware of. So thank you so much for your efforts, especially Dr. M and all the time that she has put into this. And thank you to my fellow competitors and everyone that gave feedback during our training sessions, to my lab, especially my PI, the neuroscience department at Stony Brook, and the MSTP at Stony Brook. And I think my main takeaway actually got stolen by you, Dr. James. It was that I really liked the ability to hear very, very different types of research. And maybe it's a science thing or maybe not, but like you really get stuck in just hearing about neuroscience. So it was so refreshing to hear all the different areas that people are working on. It was really cool. So thanks, everyone.
You're welcome. And you know, I've been able to sustain a career because I am around researchers, people who are finding new knowledge, people who are thinking differently. So today's event will have an impact on you in ways that you cannot possibly imagine. Our next set of acknowledgements will come from Sinan Chin from Applied Math and Statistics. Take it away.
Hi, I want to first thank my advisors, Dr. Alan Tannenbaum and Helene Van for providing all this opportunity to carry out the research. And I want to thank my friends at Stony Brook, Jiahao Hu, and Suhan Wang, and Yihan Wang, and Yabu Li for all the support in this competition to be my audience. And also last but not least, my boyfriend, Chao Chu Ma in France, who also gave me a lot of support. And what I learned from this competition is without this competition, I would never realize how to bridge the top research with the general audience. Sometimes a very simple word, it can be very hard for the general audience to understand, but I never realized that. That's what I learned from this competition. And thank you for this opportunity. Thank you.
You are so very welcome. Next is Heidi Schneider from the Department of Music. And before she begins, I would like to let Heidi know that I am probably one of the few people here who has actually seen Ella Fitzgerald perform in concert.
Oh my God. You are blessed. You are so blessed.
And so I would like you have the opportunity to do your acknowledgements and tell us what you learned.
Oh my gosh. Well, thank you so much for that information. I really appreciate that. That's incredible. And I would just like to so warmly thank all of the other competitors today for being so welcoming and helpful with all of the training that we went through together. And also, of course, all of the amazing faculty and the music department here. My advisor, Dr. Jeremy Little, Brenda, Danny, Erica, Tina, Perry, August, Deborah, everyone. The music department is sometimes overlooked here at Stony Brook, and I'm so honored and grateful to represent, even in a small way, the amazing stuff that happens here. And what I learned, well, I honestly have learned so many different things, but the most important thing that I think I've learned is the fact that Stony Brook is such a diverse collection of individuals, and everyone here really does play a massive part in perpetuating knowledge as it is in the year 2022. So I'm so grateful to have heard and learned so much from all of these talented and intellectual individuals. And thank you so much to Katie for the opportunity to perform here. So thank you so much. And thank you, Dr. James.
You're welcome. We went slightly out of order, but that's okay. Derek Pope, please, your acknowledgements and your thank yous.
Hi, yes. Well, first of all, a big thank you to my advisor, Angela Kelly, who has taught me almost everything I know about research and given me so much encouragement through this whole process and through the writing process. Also, my professor, Keith Shepard, who made me fall in love specifically with qualitative research. And I was fortunate enough to be in the middle of 2 cohorts. So that meant I got to learn from and become friends with people from both cohorts. So thank you for all who gave encouragement there. And finally, all of my colleagues and the many students I've worked with, thank you so much for helping me as a teacher and for just making teaching such a rewarding profession. And as far as what I've learned, actually, I think I learned that after I graduate with this degree, I think I have to go back to Stony Brook for another degree, because just listening to all of the research done, I found everything so fascinating, thinking, oh, I want to go into neuroscience now and all these. So thank you for everyone for your interesting talks. And thank you, Katie, for putting so much time into this, and Alfredo also. Thank you.
You're welcome. And Alyssa Stansfield is next. And Alyssa, I want you to know that I am from Norfolk, Virginia, which is right on the floodplain. And I hung on to every word that you said because it had deep personal meaning to me.
Yeah, no, that's an area that's definitely at risk from hurricanes, and I think it's sinking the land. So that's cool. All right, well, yeah, I just want to say thank you first to my advisor, Dr. Kevin Reed in SOMAS. Obviously, he's helped me do all of the research that I spoke about today. Also, all my other collaborators, including all the current and past members of my research group. I also want to acknowledge the funding that I've gotten to do this work from the DOE and then also from the STRIDE program at Stony Brook. I want to thank the other competitors. You guys all did amazing today. Thank you so much for all the feedback you gave me during the practice rounds. It was so helpful. I want to thank Kathleen and everyone else involved in the 3-minute thesis competition. It was really a lot of fun. I'm so glad that I did it. as far as what I learned, I definitely learned a lot, as everyone else said. I think one thing that is really important in academia and actually maybe just in life is learning how to give feedback constructively, and like constructive and useful feedback, even to in fields that are not your own. I think that's a really useful skill that you can use, at anywhere in the future. So I'm really glad I got to practice doing that. Thank you.
You are so very welcome. I would like to invite to the virtual podium Ahmed Belazai. He is the Director of Strategic Analytics and Technologies within the Division of Student Affairs at Stony Brook University. He is also an alumnus of this institution. And Ahmad represents the Alumni Association. He is the current president, and he's going to have a few words to say about what did you learn while listening to this, Ahmad? Yeah, we'll start it that way, okay?
Thank you. Yeah, it's I don't think I can just pick one thing that I learned from. I mean, I think if anything, I learned that there's to Derek's sentiment, so much more to learn out there, and I really appreciate everything everyone has shared, all of the generosity and all of the work that you've put together and have shared with many people. Just as an alum, not speaking for anyone else, it fills me with a sense of pride that my alma mater and my fellow future alumni are doing these kinds of things and contributing to the world in these kinds of ways. And so in addition to being proud, I'm also really hopeful about our future, whether it's addressing degenerative mental health issues or climate change or any of the amazing talks that we've heard to date. It's an incredible snapshot of some really amazing work and some really amazing people behind that work. So it's a pleasure to share with you all, just to maybe share a couple more sentiments speaking on behalf of the Alumni Association. We are all proud of the work that you all have shared, the work that you all have done, and the manner in which you've shared it. I think more than ever, the ability to communicate information in an accurate, easy to digest, and importantly, a manner in which others can take away information from what you've shared is just, to quote an understatement, it's incredibly important. So thank you again, and it is our honor as an alumni association to support this effort. Katie and Alfredo and others, it's just such an amazing, inspiring event, and again, it's our honor to be able to play a role. And one of the roles that I get to play is actually hot off the press. I am able to share the winners for today. So Katie, just to check in with you, does that make sense at this point?
Yes, by all means. And you can decide if you want to start at the beginning or the end. Up to you.
Perfect. I am not overly experienced in the awards. I watch awards a lot, but so I appreciate that tip. So we'll actually start off with the number 3 winner. And let me just bring up our categories here. So our third place winner, I'll mention, is congratulations to Farzana Ali, biomedical engineering. Let your watch pick your medicine. Congratulations, Farzana. And I will now mention our second place winner, Zinan Chen, Applied Math and Statistics. How do neurodegenerative diseases affect our brain? Congratulations, Zinan.
Thank you.
And then I will mention our first place winner is Derek Pope. Congratulations, Science, STEM Education, Imagine Actually Understanding Math. Student teachers' beliefs about how math should be taught. Congratulations, Derek.
Thank you so much.
As a fellow math nerd, also congratulations.
Yes.
And the People's Choice Award, congratulations to Zinan Chen, Applied Math and Statistics. How do neurodegenerative diseases affect our brain? Congratulations.
Thank you again.
And thank you again. Thank you all. Congratulations to our winners. Congratulations to all of the participants, the contestants, and the folks who are watching. Thank you for participating. It's my honor, and thank you.
Oh, thank you so much, Ahmed, and congratulations to all of our winners. Can I was going to say, can I pull our winners up on stage? But why don't let's go into gallery mode, and let's turn our video cameras on for our first, second, and third place winners and People's Choice. I'd like to also get some photos to celebrate this. But again, I want to, my heart goes out to all of you. You know, you talked about how many hours we spent, and probably no one really understands how much effort goes into the 3-minute thesis. I was there for every minute of the things that we did together. And of course, not for the minutes that you all spent on it at home with your colleagues, with your advisors, with your partners, going over and over those 3 minutes. So thank you all for your excellent talks today. Let's see, Jinan, are you here? Can you turn on your camera and we can get a photo with the 3 of you? I'm gonna turn off my video, and I want to get just the 3 of you right now. And let's see, Minnie, let's both turn our cameras off so that I can get some quick, and again, just keep smiling and be happy. And it's going to take me a minute to get a few screenshots here. Okay, I'm going to take one more. Ready? Smile. Okay, one last one. Fantastic. Thank you so much. So this ends our event today. This ends the live stream. And thank you so much for tuning in today and for helping support and celebrate our amazing graduate students.
Thank you so much, Katie.
Let's see. I don't know how to turn off the live stream.
We can send it here and the live stream will go off.
Oh, okay, great. Do you need to be I made you the host again. Do you need that?